Amazing, amazing. How can you know unless someone explains to you? And in this case, it's Alan explaining to you. And today we want to dig deeper into some facts about the Luya community. We've seen, we've had more. We've had speculations, rumors, facts about the Luya people, about their culture, their lifestyles, and all these other things. And some that you've heard might not be true unless I confirm them. So today I want us to dig deeper and try to understand more about these people. So the history of the Baluya people, the Luya people, also known as the Abaluya, okay, Abaluya or Luya. We are among the Bantu people and the second largest group in Kenya. But as I said, currently we are the largest. We are the largest group in Kenya currently. We are the majority in this country. No one should lie to you anyway or either way. We are the majority in this country. So if we decide to stand together and field a president in the presidential elections and unite, be sure we are able to win the elections. But because there's no unity, as they usually say, we might not be able to do that. So the Luya belong to the larger linguistic stock known as the Bantu. And we are located mostly in Western Kenya, and that is from Maseno as we go deeper. But some years back, 1990s, 1980s, 1940s, that is 1930s, 1905 ongoing. The Luya people, the rest of the Luya people and the tribe of Luya people began from the lake region to to the uttermost parts of the border of Uganda and Kenya and Uganda. But after everything that happened, tribal wars and all that, people divided land and all that, and then we came back to where we are. So most Luyas are found in the western of Kenya and Uganda. So you find some Luyas in Kenya, you cross the borders, you find some Luyas in Uganda. Yeah, that is how they're subdivided. But again, you won't fail to find some other lawyers in different parts of the country because there is immigration, jobs, looking for jobs, intermarriages, and all that. You'll find them in different places, but their original home that is in the western part of Kenya and part of the northwest and eastern Uganda along Mount Elgon. As you go the other side of Mbale, Uganda, and all that, you still get some areas in that area. So they are divided in 20 or 21, 20 sub-clans. Yeah, 20 sub-tribes. They are divided in 20 sub-tribes. If we add the Suba of the Mfangano Island, if we add the Suba from the Mfangano Island, then they go to 21 sub-tribes. And all these sub-tribes, they have their different dialects, but at least in these dialects, they are words that they can communicate, they can get each other in one or two words as they speak. So it doesn't mean that the dialects are completely of other the dialects are completely off of the other dialects. Like when the Bukusu speak, doesn't mean that the Nyores and the Maragolian they cannot get something out of it. At least they can get something out of it. So it's not entirely that impossible for other dialects to understand other dialects among the Luyas. Yep. So we're talking about the 20 sub-tribes. If we add the Suba or Abasuba from the Mfangano Island, we get the 21 sub-tribes among of the Luya community as a whole. Once known as the Bantu Kavirondo, multiple small tribes in North Nyanza came together under the new name Baluya between 1950 and 1960. So they were, at a given point, they were also called the Kavirondo. Yep. And in these, the Bukusus are known to be the largest Luya sub-tribe and account almost 50% of the entire Luya population. So the Bukusus are leading, are leading in this. They are the largest among the Luya. Currently, are they still Bukusus? Yes, they're still Bukusus who are the largest among the Luya community, accounting to 50%. They dominate other Luya small sub-tribes, and they live in both Bungoma and Trans Nzoia counties. So you now know where Bukusus live. They live in Bungoma and Trans-Nzoia counties. The Luhya culture is similar to the Great Lakes region Bantu speakers. There's no difference in that. Our cultures intermarry with those along the Great Lakes. Luhya today refers to both 21 Luhya clans and their respective Luhya dialects. And that's why I said when the Maragoli speak, they speak a different dialect. When the Bukusu speak a different, the Banyala speak different dialect. All those Luya sub-tribes, they speak different dialects and all that. But as I said earlier, it doesn't mean that we don't get each other. We can still get each other. There are 21 clans, as we said from the beginning, that make up the Luya. The Luya belong to the larger linguistic stock known as the Bantu. We talked about this. The Luya comprises several subgroups which with different but mutually understood linguistic dialect. We talked about that. Then people ask, the word Luya or Luya or Luya in some of the dialects means the north. So we are basically the people from the north. Luyas are basically the people from the north. Luya means north. So they're basically the people from the north. There's a single Luya language, rather. There's no single Luya language that unite all the Luyas. As we said, there are different dialects in them. So we don't have a common language like to say Swahili is the common language among the Luya. No, we are not born with a single language. And that is what it is. Rather, there are several mutually understood dialects that are principally Bantu. And these dialects are all Bantu. If you walk among all the Bantus, you simply get them. If you go to Zambia, I know there's Luyas in Zambia, or there are Bantus in Zambia. If you go to Zambia, you can hear Zambia. You can hear part of the Zambian language. If you go to Zimbabwe, you can still hear part of their language. If you go to Uganda, there are clans in Uganda that you can still hear. If you go to Rwanda, you can still hear. You go to Burundi, if you're so keen enough, you can still get whatever they're trying to talk about. So we're all Bantus, and we're just part of the larger Bantu group. And we will try to get to understand. We try to understand where when the migration started. That it should be 50,000 years ago or 600,000 years ago. We'll get where we came from, and that I know that will surprise you. That will completely surprise you. But put it at a pause. Put it at a pause. It will surprise you, but tulia tu kidogo. Yeke hapa kidogo. We'll come back to it later as we get deep into that. So Abaluya, as we said, completely means not completely. As we said, our Luya means the people from the north. So Luyas are originally from the north. From the north. And we'll get to know where is that north. Yes, from the north. We are from the north. The 21 clans are the Bukusu. So if you're not among the clans that I want to mention, then you're not among the Luyas. So the 21 clans are the Bukusu. We say the Bukusu are the majority, contributing to 50% of the total population of the Luya people, among the Luyas, Walunje. So they are the Bukusu, or we call them Ababukusu, Idaho, Avidaho, Isuha, Avisuha. The Kabras, we call our Kabaras. Hayo barangwanga abahayo, kisa barangwa abakisa, marachi barangwa abamarachi, abamaragoli barangwa abaragoli, maragoli barangwa baragoli, marama abamarama, nyala abanyala, then nyole abanyole, nyole abanyole, then samia abasamia, then tachoni abatachoni, then tiriki abatiriki. Then you're going to test to abachocho, tsotso ambao baranganga abatsotso mu Runyolemba. Then wanga barangwanga abawanga. Then abatura, and the abasiaya. They are closely related to the Masava or Gisu people, Basamia, and Banyole of Uganda. That's why we said we go beyond just the Kenyan boundaries. We go up to Uganda. You find Luyas there. So when you go there, you're going back home. You remember time back when the Ugandans claimed that they want to extend their boundaries to Naivasha because they believe the pre-colonial boundaries are extended to Naivasha because of the Wanyore that are considered, the Luyas that are considered to be from Uganda. So they came up to the Naivasha. So that's why some Ugandans thought that the pre-colonial boundaries should be reclaimed and they should come back. They should extend their boundaries from Busia, Kenya to Naivasha, Kenya, which is closely to impossible because the boundaries were revisited and reclaimed again to where they are at the moment. So the Bukusu and the Maragoli are the two largest Luya clans. Maragoli, the Bukusu and the Maragoli are the two largest Luya clans. Yeah, I believe the Bukusus are, but now it's new that the Maragolis are coming into picking over there to make the second largest. So we get these other tribes are just contributing tribes to the entire Luya. So if the Bukusu and the Maragoli stand together, these other Luya sub tribes, they are easy. It's easy for them to field a president and make the president win. At least have someone in the higher need of this country. Okay, so when you talk about immigration into the present-day Luya land, came mainly from the eastern and the western Uganda and traced their ancestry mainly to the several Bantu groups, as I said earlier, and to the other non-Bantu groups such as the Kalenjin. The intermarriages within the Kalenjins, the Luos, and the Maasai. I know this is so interesting for you to understand, but yes, the Maasai, the Kalenjins, and the Luos, there's a way they intermarried in those days and made up the Luya group and all that. So um, we are all one. As I said, we are all one. So when I see those rivals and all that, I'm like, don't you know that we just one? Yeah, we are all one. By 1950s, migration into Luya land was largely completed. 1850, not 1950. By 1850, the migration into the Luya land was complete by that time. And only minor internal movements occurred after that due to diseases, droughts, domestic conflicts, and other effects of the British colonialism. Maybe the not maybe when the British colonialism would bring small things India from other places, trying to subdivide the boundaries because of whatever they had, whatever they wanted to get. So because of that, they could subdivide the original boundaries into wherever they feel is good for them and befits them or fits them or fulfills their desires and all that. And that's when these other things came in. But before that, it was all good. There was usually the normal cross cultural, cross tribal conflicts, diseases and pestilences and all that. But that could be controlled because it was normal. It was a culture that, yeah, if you go steal cows on the land, they'll come and steal, and then continues. But again, with intermarriages, that thing was taken off. So there was no longer much to be said on that. And that is, so multiple West African population. Now, how do you come from Kenya to West Africa? You say yourself from West and Eastern. And you say that the people from the North, if you stand here, if you're in Kenya, and you stand for the North is, yeah, Egypt, and the others northern countries. So if you hear about if you talk about the population from West Africa and all that, doesn't mean that we are going out of the book. We are just within the book, but this is history, and history has the way it brings things together in one way or the other. So multiple West African population, including the Luya, inherited genes from the archaic human ancestor population that diverged before the modern humans and the Neanderthals. This name is too hard to pronounce. Neanderthals. I will tell you what Neanderthals are as we continue. So you can also put it on the parking lot somewhere here, on the parking lot somewhere here. You can ask me that question later. I'll answer you on what the Neanderthals are and what they contributed in the humanity. And you'll be surprised to understand that the Luyas are closely rooted to, or they are roots to the people that are so key and are ruling the world at the moment. You ask me how, and I'll tell you I don't have an answer to that unless we go dig deeper to try to understand that. If I tell you Trump is a Luya, most of you will you're lying. Of course, I'm not lying. I'll give you pictures, evidence. I'll give you picture evidences on the same. So please hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. That is how the world is, and I'll tell you, Luyas will always rule everywhere they go. Yes, we always rule wherever we go, wherever we go, wherever we always rule. I know most people might not understand that, but it's okay. So we're talking about we date back to the archaic human. That is the ancestors of the ancestors of the ancestors of ancestors population that divided before the modern. This is before the modern human beings as modern humans as and all that, and the Neanderthals, before they splitted, before the main split of humanity to different places and all that, we all came from a place. I know most people say, talk about Congo forest, Bantus from the Congo forest, they talk about whatever and all these other things, but there's always history, and history is so different. History is so unique in a way that everybody writes according to whatever they understand, everybody writes according to the books they read and the resources, among the sources they got the information from. So we cannot be true, we cannot be wrong, but at least there is something that we should understand about whatever is happening. So when you're reading about history, whatever you're reading about, you need to have sources that you can cite that will bring you to the specific people. For me, I believe this, and I'll tell you the reason why I believe that. So researchers found that the lineage splitting that is over 3 years, 624 years, 624,000 years ago, and introgressing into the African population that is over 50 years ago, 50,000 years ago, uh, 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 is able to explain the genes present into the modern Luya population. So the genes present in the Luya population currently can be traced back to 624,000 years ago, among the people that we call the Neanderthals. Yes, it should be Neanderthals. So the Luya genes can be traced back to the Neanderthals. That is 624,000 years ago. And back to Africa, when they came to Africa, it should be 50,000 years ago. So there's a long, yes, long journey, long treks, long journey of travel from where they came from to Africa. In Africa, that is just 50,000 years ago to the modern population. So the Luya you see now, this one, is a modern Luya. But before me, going back 50,000 years ago, this skin was different. It was not as it is now. So you ask me a question, how did it evolve to this skin currently? I cannot tell that. I don't understand unless I get a good source to get that information from. I'll be able to explain that to you. But as for now, I am not aware on how it came to this skin, because the Neanderthals, their skin is not like mine. Yes, the Neanderthals, the skins are not like mine. Their heads are not like mine. But there's one similarity with my head with theirs. So don't worry, you don't need to get more into that. So I told you I'll explain to you who are the Neanderthals. And this is where we got Neanderthals, were a species of humans that lived in Europe and parts of Asia around 400,000 to 40,000 years ago. I told you we came a long way from Europe and Asia to Africa, then western part of Kenya and eastern part of Uganda. Yes, we've come a long way, a long way, a long way, a long way. We've come a long way. We've fought battles, not only with the people, but found along the way we went, but with battles with natural disasters, sicknesses, diseases, and all that. So what do you think can kill us? Yes, nothing can kill us, because we fought key battles, but we've been able to come where we are as modern warriors. But remember, our roots are not nowhere, not in Congo forest, but our roots are where? The Bantus are also from where? The Luhyas are also from where? Are from Europe. Are from Europe and Asia. That is over 4,000 years ago to 40,000 years ago. We were there. Our people were there. Our great ancestors were there. So when I told you, we can make a comparison with Trump being a Luhya or has genes of a Luhya. I knew most of you will come and say no, but now you get me right when I say that. Yes, Trump has the genes of Luhya. You see, I'll say to say that I'll give you photo comparison into that, and you guys will get to understand what I'm trying to talk about. I'll give you the photos of Neanderthals. I'll give you the photos of Neanderthals. Then use the photos to compare to the head of Trump, the way it's, and you try to get to understand what I'm trying to tell you. So again, put it somewhere. Yeah, put it somewhere. Parking lot somewhere. Put it on a parking lot somewhere. You've removed one parking lot, one on the parking lot, which is Neanderthals. I'm trying to explain to you who are the Neanderthals, but I'm again put that of Trump and these other things. Most of the European people, they have their genes back. Okay, we share their genes with them. Luhyas share their genes with most of the European and Asian people. That's why there are very many similarities and all that. Now they might not understand because now most of the Luhyas have the dark skin and yeah, but we brothers. We came from one ancestry, and that is it is what it is. We cannot change the facts. Okay, so they were closely related to modern humans but had distinct features such as a prominent brow ridge, a larger nose, and a stocky build. So larger nose like mine. You see, my nose is larger. Yeah, larger nose like mine. Larger nose like mine. Neanderthals were skilled hunters and tool makers, and evidence suggests that they had complex social structure and even cared for their sick and injured. However, they eventually went extinct, and their exact relationship to modern humans is still a topic to debate among scientists. However, they went extinct, but the exact relationship with the modern human like us and the guys in the Europe is still a topic that scientists are still working on. But even though the scientists are working on, doesn't mean that we are not. We are still the people, and we rule the world. You get that? So when I tell you that Luhyas are prominent people in this world, you should get it right and you should respect these guys. Yep, you get me right. Yes, you should get me right. So if you try to find them and you see them missing somewhere on the map, that should prove to you that they are these people. If they're missing someone on the map, like you drawing the family tree of all the humanity and all that, and then the Luhyas are missing somewhere, you should know that they are these people. We are the Neanderthals, yeah? We are the lost Neanderthals. The lost Neanderthals. We are the lost Neanderthals from Europe and Asia. So when you go back to ancient Europe, they should give us citizenship for free because we are the lost Neanderthals. And scientists, you should come and prove from me because I have evidence of all that. You get that? I have the evidence of all that. So you should come back to me if you get these things right. So, and one of the oldest maps of Kenya indicate that Luhyaland as Suba region. Okay, it indicates the Luhyaland as the Suba region. So, from Mufangano, that should be Kisumu. Then we trace back and then and then back to Kakamega and all those, and then to Uganda. We call the Suba. Okay, it used to be the Suba region. That things happened as we talked earlier. The subdivisions, the colonialism, destruction, subdivisions, and all that. We came to whatever we have currently, and that is what it is. So there's nothing that can be changed onto that. Though we have no citations on that, but according to the early maps of Kenya, that is how it is. That is what it is, meaning that areas occupied by Masaba speaking people, this name is still used by the Gisu of Uganda, Abamasaba, if I can call it in my own dialect, Abamasaba people of Uganda. The name Masaba, Amama Masaba means the north in the Luhya, Abamasaba, the northern people. Yeah. Abandu Masaba, the northern people in Luhya. So that is what it is. Then what else do you want to know? These territories neighbor the Baganda, Basoga, and the Bagisu of present-day Uganda, and the Luo Teso and the Nandi present-day in Kenya. The territory occupied by the Bantu around Lake Victoria and the north of Lake Victoria was known as the Kavirondo, the northern Kavirondo. And that's the name given by the colonialists. So don't worry about that. The Bantu Kavirondo previously used to refer to the Luhya and the other Bantu communities in the area, Bantu Kavirondo. I told you, talked about that. Then the Wanga are the tribes of the Wanga people. Abawanga, as we talked earlier, are the tribe of the Luhya people of Kenya. They mainly occupy the Butere, Mumias, and Kakamega districts. Two of the districts of Kenya Western Province. Two of the 8 districts of the Western Kenya. So, in the pre-colonial period, during the colonial period, Western Kenya was divided into 8 districts. You get that? It was divided into 8 districts. And Butere, Mumias, and Kakamega. Butere, Mumias was a district among the 8 districts, and Mumias was also a district among the 8 districts. Mumias was the headquarters of the Wanga Kingdom, Abawanga Kingdom, headed by His Majesty, the chief himself, the king himself, the man himself, the royal himself, King Nabongo Mumia. You get that? So the Mumias was the headquarters unto the same for the Wanga kingdom. The Wanga ancestors were part of the migration that settled in Kampala area and formed the Buganda or Baganda kingdom. So there are similarities among the Buganda kingdom, the Buganda kingdom and the Wanga communities, the Wanga kingdom. Well, this is really, really interesting. The settled part in Kampala and formed the Buganda and the Baganda kingdom. The Wanga were ruled by Nabongo Mumia. Nabongo Mumia was the chief rule, the king of the Wanga kingdom. Other leaders among the Luya were known as the Abami or singular Umwami, a title translating to the king or lords. Say Nabongo Mumia was the chief king, ama the king. And other leaders among the Luyas were called Abami. In plural, we call them Avami, but in singular, ni Omwami. And you can still hear it now. And mostly when you go in places where, if a Luya goes to other places where there are no Luyas, you'll hear them call him Omwami. And Omwami simply means king or lord. And the same word can be used. So what's the problem with that thing? Okay, the same word can be used among, the same word is still used in reference to God. And when you get to Christianity, we talk about that. The same word Omwami or Omwami is still used in reference to God. So every time you're called Omwami, you need to put it into context to differentiate. Are you calling me God or you're calling me Omwami as a leader? Okay. So the first British explorer to step foot in Western Kenya among the Luhya land was called Henry Morton Stanley. Henry Morton Stanley was the first British man to step foot in the Luhya land, and it's believed he trekked along. He was on foot along the Luhya land, trying to discover the Luhya land and see how good and fertile the land was. And yes, they found some goodies, and that was from around 1983 when he took that tour around Lake Victoria, from Lake Victoria along Lake Victoria to the uttermost parts of the Luhya land. And he was with another gentleman called Joseph Johnson, Joseph Thomson, Joseph Thomson. The Scottish geologist passed through Luhya land territory around, I've talked about that, that is around 1883. Thompson met Nawongo Mumia and influenced British relationships with the Wanga kingdom in the region. So these guys met Nawongo Mumia and they had a very good relationship with Nawongo Mumia that led to collaboration of the Wanga kingdom with the British colonialists. So, yep, they built a very good relationship. And that opened the door to very many other British people coming into the to Western Kenya, including missionaries. And one thing that you also discover, I want you to put it on the parking lot, is that the gospel, Christianity, let me talk about the missionaries. They first landed in Western. They first landed in Western. And most people ask me, is it the reason to why we are hearing a lot of cults in Western and all that? It might be the reason to why, because the first cult was also established by someone in Western. Oh, we'll talk about that later. Put it on the parking lot somewhere. You get that? Yes. The construction of the Kenya-Uganda Railway began in 1998 and further opened opportunities for European interactions with the Luhya and other communities in the western part of Kenya. Nabongo Mumia, being the king of the Wanga and a dominion figure, extended to the Luhya subgroups such as the Cabras and the Tsotso. He was so dominant, and him being a king, he had the influence. So he influenced the Tsotso and the Batsotso and the Cabras people. So in the 90s, in the late 80s, when the European nations began their scramble for Africa, scramble and partition for Africa, they mapped African boundaries to suit their interest and the interest in the continents. I told you that earlier. With the lion's share of colonies going to the British, that is in 1995, the region of Africa, East Africa, was declared to be the British protectorate. East Africa. And East Africa is not only Okay, you get to know, understand what East Africa means. It was the larger group of it. Was under the British protectorate. So the guys who taught us the English that we're speaking currently. Yep, the English that we're speaking currently. So, well, we're good in that because we were under that. But Uganda was still part of the same. So I don't know why they're not speaking good English, but that's not a bother to me. It was further divided into British East Africa, present day Kenya, which was the headquarters of the British East Africa, and the Uganda protectorate, the present day Uganda. So Kenya was the capital, the headquarters of the British East Africa, the colonies. They could come from Kenya, then go to other places, Uganda and all that, to do their thing as they yeah, did whatever they did. This guy should compensate us dearly and compensate our brothers. And yeah. As all the land in Kenya west of Naivasha was mapped within the Ugandan protectorate. You get that? That's why Uganda talked about this, and I told you to put it on the parking lot somewhere. We get to know more about this. So from Western Kenya to Naivasha was under the Ugandan protectorate, and that's why most of the Ugandans, historians, still believe that the Ugandan boundary should be along the Naivasha. But things changed. Yeah, they should try and see. They should try that and see. It will never happen again. The Luhya people and the other Kenyan communities were included in the Ugandan territory. The Luhya people and other Kenyan communities who were included among the Ugandan territory. So you're still seeing more reasons to why the Ugandans still thought that Western Kenya up to Naivasha belongs to them, and they should expand their territories. Sometimes back we had a Twitter war with the son of Museveni, saying that he's sending his guys to come and do their thing and expand the Ugandan territories up to Naivasha, because they're still working with the pre-colonial boundaries, colonial boundaries by that time. But that cannot work. In 1902, the boundaries were remapped, and the Luhya people, including the Wanga Kingdom and their neighboring communities, which were on the eastern part of Uganda, were annexed to Kenya. So in 1902, as I said earlier, the map was redone, and the Luhya people, and the other communities within that were within the Ugandan protectorate were returned, annexed to Kenya, or returned to Kenya. So, and that's how the Luhyas, whatever, the Nandis, the Rift Valley guys, the guys on Nyanza, along the Nyanza Lake region and all that, we came back to Kenya, and that's what we are called Kenyans. So Ugandans, you have nothing against us, and we have nothing against your brothers. Yeah, we just left on the other side, but kindly bear with us on this. And then the Kabaras and the Wanga collaborated peacefully with the British. We talked about this, and they told you to put it somewhere on the parking lot. They collaborated peacefully with the British people. Most Luhyas from the Kabaras clan joined the colonial era police forces, and that's why you found most of the Luhyas were among the police people. And someone say, and that thing is still in them. They're still soldiers, because that is what was in them earlier. They're still soldiers, yeah. And someone will ask you, why are many Luhyas soldiers? Have an answer. During the pre-colonial period, we are incorporated as police officers. Our people, brothers and ancestors were occupied or taken as the police officers. So that thing is still in them. Even up to now, if they are not given a chance to become a police officer, they will become a soldier, guarding someone's get somewhere, because that is what they do best, with the loyalty among these people, the honesty among these people, the love of their job among these people. They get themselves that. So if they don't become police officers, they don't become soldiers within the country, and then they'll become soldiers when they get somewhere doing whatever they're doing. And if they're not there, they'll be where I am now, trying to explain this to people, because we have the brains and minds with us to do those things, guys. So that is the thing. Now you don't need to ask more questions, because I've already answered some of your questions under that. So don't ever be asking why lawyers are always on the gets guarding other people. Now you know the reason to why they are doing that. So keep quiet and listen. Yeah, so most of them were incorporated into police forces, colonial era police forces. Nawongo Mumia was forced to sign treaties with the British after being defeated. After being defeated, he signed treaties with the British, and he had nothing to do about that, because he had no power to. He had no power to stop that. Significant numbers of the Luhya fought for the British in the Second World War. Yes, I always ask where my great grandfather went to. I'm trying to trace him, but I cannot find him. But now I realize that this guy died in the Second World War. He died in the Second World War, and his body will never return back to Kenya to be buried decently. So these guys should compensate my family, entire lineage, my entire lineage. They should compensate us. Many as volunteers in Kenya, Kenya African Rifles, called as KAR, Kenya African Rifles, KAR. But my people call it KR. So my people call it KR, but it's not KR, it's KAR, Kenya African Rifles. Most of them were incorporated in that. As with many African societies, the Luhya also named their children after the significant events. They named people after the significant those significant events. And there is this name I used to hear back in my village, and I was asking myself, now where did this name come from? This one of the names was Kea, Agri Kea, Siju Onewea, all this name. So I realized that the name came from these events. And that's been a name that has been passed from generation to generation to generation. You get that? From generation. I wish my people would be listening to me over here. You need to be clapping for me because I'm going deeper to get you information that you need to know and understand. And just when you're looking at everything that's happening around you, you'll have the knowledge of what's happening and how it used to happen. Even back in the ages. You got that? Yes, you should be clapping for me. Make sure you subscribe for more of this information. We're digging deeper into the Luhya community. We are yet to get into their culture and what they do, when, and how. Where? We have more to learn on this. And the Luhyas must know where they come from and what they are. So consequently, many Luhyas people born around the time of the Second World War were given the names like Kea, not KAR, but Kea. So the name Kenya African Rifles was translated into a Luhya dialect and been named as Kea. So from KAR, they were given the name KEYAH, Kea. So if you hear any Luhya name in the name of Kea, kindly translate it to English to KAR, Kenya African Rifles. Yep. And you know, some of those family members, any family member that has a name of that kind, those people went. Their great grandfathers went to fight for the Second World War, and because they did not return back, so the only thing that could make them know that or could remind them of the people who went to fight that war is to give them the people who were born in that lineage that name. So if you have if in your lineage you have the name like I want you to know that your great grandfathers went to fight for the Second World War. Now we clear on that. Okay, I know you've been asking where those names come from. Now I'm trying to answer all the questions. So wherever we put on the parking lot, we are trying to answer it back. The acronym for the King's African Rifles, yeah? King's African Rifles. Okay, yeah. Okay, whatever. King's African Rifles. And other famous chiefs during the colonial time include Ndombi wa Mnamusia, Ndombi wa Nausia, then Sudi na Machanja, Namutara, and Ogonga Laurende. And some of these names like Namachanja, Namtara, you get these names more. You get most of these names in Uganda. They're not dominant in Kenya, in the western part of Kenya, but they're so dominant among the Abaluya people, among the Luhya people in Uganda. Ndombi wa Namusia, Sudi na Machanja, Namtanda na Machanja. You get this Namachanja mostly among the other tribes in Kenya that have the Namachanja, but it's mostly in Uganda. Yes, so we talked about the Bukusu being the majority, contributing to 50% of the total Luhya population. 50%, then followed by the Maragoli, giving us 30%. Then the rest of the rest contributed by other people. But we don't need to get to name all the Bukusu clans and sub-clans. No, we don't have time to that. We'll get deeper into that as we read later. So we said about talking about the Banyore culture, and I think we should do that on part 2 of this. So part 1 ends with what we have gathered today, and please kindly make sure you subscribe, subscribe and ring the bell so you get every notification that once we put a video up, you get the notification, and make sure that you watch, share, and subscribe. Leave your comment. What do you think, or what do you understand about the Luhya community, the Luhya tribe of Kenya? What do you understand? What rumors, fictions, myths and misconceptions you have about them. So we are digging deeper into their culture, and when we talk about the culture, we're talking about different aspects of their culture, and I hope we will learn more and more and more and more in them. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Keep subscribing, share, like, and comment.